Hi everyone, my name is Shah Barnard and I'm the Community Fundraising Manager here at the charity. I hope you're enjoying all of the sessions that you are part of today. And without further ado, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce you to Georgie Frayne from Carers UK and James and Suzanne at Mobilise, who are leading the Looking After Yourself as a Carer session today. Enjoy watching and thank you for joining the conference.
Hi everyone, I am so pleased to be here. My name is Georgie and I'm from Carers UK, and today we're going to be running a session alongside Suzanne from Mobilise on the health and wellbeing for carers. Suzanne, would you like to take a second to introduce yourself?
Yeah, lovely. Really great to be here with you, Georgie, and to be doing this presentation together. My name's Suzanne. I'm co-founder and head of carer support at Mobilise. And like lots of you listening in, I'm a carer myself, been caring for my husband, Matt, for 20 years. He was diagnosed with young onset Parkinson's. So yeah, that's who I am. But yeah, let's do this, Georgie. Looking forward to
it. Brilliant. So I'm going to start my session with just some short slides looking at kind of some statistics of caring, but also a little bit about Carers UK. Carers UK is obviously a national charity, and I'm account manager with Carers UK, and I support the charity for civil service with the promotion and utilisation of the digital resource for carers. So to start off, I want to give a little bit of a background on Carers UK. We are actually celebrating our 60th birthday this year, so we have been around the block. And our main aim at Carers UK is to make life better for carers. So we give expert information, advice and support, and you can contact us either through our helpline or our email. We connect carers so no one has to care alone. And I think this is a really poignant one, as caring can be isolating and a lonely experience for many carers. We campaign for lasting change. And I have to say our most recent achievement was the statutory care leave that was introduced in April 2024. And our next campaign is to make sure that that is paid for. And we're always innovating to find new ways to reach and support carers. So kind of when we talk about carers, it's good to have an understanding of kind of who are carers, how are they defined. So statistically, there are 1 in 7 carers juggling work and care. And there are 4.3 million carers in the UK. And that's 12,000 people a day are kind of thrust into caring, or they've been caring for some time. But that is a huge number of the population. So how do we define what a carer is? A carer is someone who looks after a loved one who is either older, disabled, or ill, someone that relies on them for their support. Caring can really affect anyone at any time. You can be someone who is providing care and it increasingly is becoming demanding, or you can be someone who is thrown overnight into caring, potentially a husband or a child suddenly getting seriously unwell. From our research, we can see that it takes 2 years for a carer to self-identify as a carer. And I have to say, through my work at Carers UK, you know, lots of people, as much as they affiliate themselves with care, understand that they are caring, will never really view themselves as a carer because they're doing something for love. It's not something that they have a choice in, but also it's something that they happily will do. And they don't really ever tend to identify themselves as a carer. So I wanted to include this stat because I think it's a really poignant statistic to kind of think about and to reflect on while we're doing this session. But how likely are we to become carers? 2/3 of adults are expected to care in their lifetime. And I do really believe that you will either care for a loved one or you will be cared for. And if you are not directly involved in caring, you will know someone, or someone in your immediate circle will be caring. Women have a 50-50 chance by the age of 46 to care, and men have a 50-50 chance of caring by the age of 57. Quite poignant. Just wanted to include that so that we can reflect on that. As you know, there are more and more carers every day self-identifying or seeking support. But this session is really about health and well-being for carers. And at the Charity for Civil Service, they have subscribed to Carers UK's digital resource for carers. So I'm actually going to do a bit of a deep dive into the platform to give you guys an idea of what tools and resources are on the platform to support you in your caring role, but also in your health and well-being as a carer. So I'm going to go ahead now and share my screen. So this is the digital resource for carers. As you can see, the Charity for Civil Service have their logo there. So this is the site that they have designed for carers within their organisation and carers working at the civil service. All you need to do to log on and access this platform is use the code CFCS, and I'll include that in the chat at the end of my presentation, so you can log on and access the information that I'm about to show you. The first thing I'd like to highlight is at the bottom of this page is the Charity for Civil Servants help and information and support. So if you are from the civil service and you're seeking some support, whether it's supporting yourself as a carer, but also any relationship counselling, well-being that you might access, money worries, the charity does have a lot of resources that you can access to find support that you need. So as you can see, we have got a lot of content on this site, and I'm not going to go through every single piece of content because, quite frankly, it would take too much time. But I want to give you a kind of highlight reel of the things that I feel will be able to support you as a carer, but also support you in your health and well-being. So we have kind of split our platform or content into 5 different subject matters, and this is kind of through our research that we found are really, really important to carers. So first off, health and well-being. In this section of the resource, you will be able to find a lot of information that will be able to support you with your health and overall well-being. So for example, when we're talking about mental health and overall emotional well-being, stress is something that does crop up for carers. So we've got a video, Coping with Stress, which looks at the many different ways that you can manage your own emotions and what kind of practical and emotional support there might be available to you. We've also got an e-learning which is called Coping with Stress. And our e-learnings are little modules that are based around one subject matter. And it's kind of like a little deep dive into that one subject. You can see that you can actually download this e-learning as a podcast or an audio. So if you're on your way to work, you can listen to it in the car. But this type of e-learning, Coping with Stress as a carer, will really look at understanding the different symptoms of stress, both mental and physical. And it will also give you an understanding of what really causes stress, as well as give you information on how to build some strategies to cope better with stress. And included in the e-learning, we've got some resources that can be incredibly useful, such as our online wellbeing workshops that are run from Carers UK, but also relaxation techniques, NHS CBT talking therapy, as well as breathing exercises. So this is the type of resource that would really support you as a carer if you're really struggling to cope with the everyday stresses of caring. We've also got an e-learning which is all about managing sleep as a carer. You don't tend to think of sleep as an important aspect of your well-being, but it really is so crucial to feeling overall well within yourself. So this kind of module will really help you look at why sleep is important and what are the causes and impact of poor sleep. You'll also look at kind of ways to improve your sleep quality and how to go about seeking support if you are sleeping really badly. I know for me, I need a standard 8 hours. That's not the same for everyone, but sleep is such an important aspect of your overall wellness. I also wanted to highlight taking a break. I know that caring can sometimes feel very overwhelming and it is constant pressure. So this is a fantastic resource if you are looking to kind of take a break. It will run through all the different options, whether you've got the ability to hire and pay privately for support, and what kind of interview techniques we advise and what you should be looking out for when hiring someone with care, but also will guide you on what your local authority might have available, whether that's respite care or even at the odd hour at a community centre. There is support out there, but it's about knowing how to access that support, and this resource can be really helpful in breaking that down. Finally, on this site, I wanted to highlight You and Your Wellbeing. This has been designed to look at coping mechanisms for your overall physical and emotional health when caring for someone. My website's being a little bit slow, so if you bear with me. The second section I'd really like to highlight is support for caring. There is a lot of information in this section, so I'm only going to highlight the things that I really feel will really practically support you as a carer with your own health and well-being. But understanding your rights is so important. So this e-learning course will really give an overview of your legal rights, the right to have a carer's assessment, but it will also look at your statutory rights within the workplace, as well as give an overview of the financial support available to unpaid carers. Now, once you've got a handle on what potentially is available, you can utilize our upfront guide to caring, which is a questionnaire about what potentially you have available to you. And we'll ask you a series of questions, and emailed through, we give you a kind of, I suppose, a document of what you should go out and get in terms of support and benefits. I'd also like to highlight having a carer's assessment. You know, it is your legal right as a carer to go and have a carer's assessment through your local authority. And if you haven't done so already, I would really encourage you to do so. There might be things that can help you manage your care, and overall that will help your stress and overall well-being. So please do have a look at our having a carer's assessment. And if you're finding it difficult requesting that carer's assessment, we've got a video that really breaks down what you should do in accessing that carer's assessment. The final e-learning on here, as much as we've got kind of coping with difficult, challenging behaviour, all these different things, managing difficult emotions as a carer is so key. We know that feelings of guilt and resentment do crop up, and we really want carers to recognise those feelings and be okay with them. This is an e-learning that will really help you manage those difficult emotions and build coping mechanisms so that you are able to cope better as a carer. As you can see, a lot of information under support for caring. I do believe that by building your support networks, you are easing the burden of care. Now, finance is deeply overwhelming and can feel incredibly stressful. We have got a lot of information on here to help break down what is available in terms of finance and how you can go about finding that support. So we've got an e-learning course which really gives an overview of the financial support to unpaid carers and who they look after. You know, the person that you're looking after might be entitled to PIP and other sorts of benefits. So it's good to get your head around what is potentially available. We've got a benefits calculator, which is fantastic at just understanding what potentially you could get and what the person that you're caring for could get. And it really calculates it in a way that you can go out and ascertain who you access that information from, whether it's from your local authority or not. We've got lots of videos on here that really break down what you're entitled to. So how you go about filling out a benefits form, can you go ahead and claim carer's allowance, could you claim personal independence payment, that's PIP, and how you go about claiming carer's allowance. These are all little financial steps that can help you with your overall financial well-being, which is a huge burden for carers. We know from our research that carers are more likely to fall into debt just through caring. So financial planning is a really important aspect of care that will really help ease the burden of financial stress. The last thing I want to highlight on kind of managing someone's affairs is actually managing someone's affairs. Power of attorney is an incredibly complex and complicated process. We've got 3 different courses, an e-learning as well as a resource and a video that you can look at that will really lay down the different ways that you can go about managing someone affairs and how you go about executing that. The final section I'm going to kind of talk you through briefly is working and skills. We know a lot of carers are still full-time employed, and sometimes the burden of care and work can feel increasingly overwhelming. Understanding your rights within the workplace is one of the most important things you can do as a working carer. Not only do you understand what legally you're entitled to and what flexible working arrangements you're potentially entitled to, also talking about caring in the workplace is so beneficial. You will be able to connect with carers networks as well as colleagues who are in a similar position that will be able to help guide you through those difficult steps that you might be taking when dealing with work and care. Our e-learning really lays out your legal rights, and it looks at kind of flexible working arrangements as well as leave, but also supporting a carer at work. These 3 guides will really help give an overview of what working and caring looks like and what is potentially available to you in terms of seeking support. We really don't want carers out of work. We want people to be able to juggle work and care efficiently, but that is incredibly difficult. Thinking of leaving work is a fantastic resource that I would encourage you to look at if you are contemplating stopping work for care, because it just makes sure that you're making the right decisions for you. Finally, I'd like to highlight Jointly. Jointly is a care coordination app, which is downloaded for free using the code CFCS. And this app can really help reduce the stress of communicating and coordinating care. It's a fantastic app if you're sharing care with loved ones, family members. It's a way that you can communicate all in one place instead of using loads of different WhatsApp groups. And you can all see what the person that you're caring for is up to. So to give you an idea, we all care within my organization for John, who likes to be called Joe. You can see his condition, allergies, what he likes and dislikes. But the main point of Jointly is really coordinating and communicating. You're able to post messages about your loved one, what's happening within the care. You can create groups and you can communicate with groups, and you can also direct message. You might actually pay for someone to care 3 days a week. Well, you could have that person here and you can all communicate with that one person in one place instead of using kind of a WhatsApp group. We've got a place where you can hold all the calendar appointments that your loved one might be having, including doctor's appointments. You can hold all key contacts in here, such as medical contacts as well as loved ones. And the most important aspect is medication. The app can hold all the medication that someone might be needing on one day, as well as past and current. It's a fantastic way of holding all the data that you might need about someone. And ultimately, this app is a fantastic way of easing the stress and burden of admin that comes with caring for a loved one. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. I hope you found some really useful tools on our site that will be able to help you in your caring role, but also within your own kind of mental health and wellness as a carer. There's lots of information on there to support you, and we are here as well at Carers UK to answer any questions that you might have about your caring role. I'm going to hand over to Suzanne, who is now going to run you through. Yes, hi Suzanne. She's going to run you through some steps.
That sounds like there's a wealth of information there. It's so great to hear about what's available through that Carers UK offer for the charity. So lots of things there already as an organisation, which is fantastic. And basically, I've got some more things to share with you, but also today we can do some things live. We'll have a look at our own wellbeing together and start to think about that. But I wonder, as you're following along, whether you're thinking, am I a carer? Well, maybe I am. I didn't realise I was. And as Georgie said at the beginning there, it can take up to 2 years for people to really identify with that word. You're a wife, you're a husband, you're a daughter or a mum, or whatever your role is as well. And that doesn't change. For me, it took me 5 years to identify myself as a carer. And that was because the caring situation just emerged very gradually. It didn't start at the point of diagnosis, but actually my journey did. So sometimes it can take a bit longer. So don't panic if you're sort of slowly thinking it might be up ahead. Now is an ideal time to start to think of yourself in that way. But don't worry, you don't have to change completely who you are. So I'm Suzanne from Mobilise. Mobilise is an online community. We're across the whole of the UK. It's free to join. People can sign up to our app. I'll share some details at the end. And you can connect with thousands of other carers across the UK. There are some additional resources that may be available depending on where you're living, but the free offer is there for all carers. And we're really passionate about getting carers together, and that together there's a real knowledge, wisdom and expertise that can be shared between us, and together we care and we can thrive is the idea. So we talk about this word thriving with a sense that for some people caring can be really tough. It can involve juggling and balancing, and it's a whole other role to take on, different priorities, boundaries, guilt, and all these things going on. And I really believe that we can also thrive as carers, and that we want to kind of get beyond just coping and just about getting through to have a full life that thrives, because so many of us will care at some point, as Georgie, as she said, that we'll care at some point in our lifetime or be cared for by someone else. For some people, it's a really big chunk of time and it's a big part of their lives. For others, it will be more of a transitional thing. There may be more than one caring role. We may be caring for more than one person at a time as well. So let's not put our lives on hold while that's happening. So here are 4 things just to get us started, sort of big picture things that we think really help and will really help set you up to thrive. Number 1 is to connect with others. So great that you've come along to the session today and can connect through your organisation as well. But also just joining things like Carers UK have a forum. You can connect with lots of carers there and share ideas and tips and questions and struggles. Mobilise, we have an online community. You can join through the app. You can chat to carers 24/7. There's always a chat going on about something. Sometimes it's about caring. Sometimes it's about our pets and someone's made a chocolate cake or something. There's some fun and lighter stuff too, but the real difficult things get discussed there. Or it can be about just making your own small little group. People that are like you, maybe caring for someone with the same condition, and you might meet them through the charities that are supporting someone with that condition. So my husband has Parkinson's. Our Parkinson's UK local branch has a carers group that I was able to meet up with them when they were in lockdown. We met up over Zoom, so I was able to see them then. But normally, because I'm at work, I can't. But there are more, different places will have different ways to connect with others. Or it could just be friends you make, or it could be a Facebook group. Parkinson's Partners of People with Parkinson's has a fab Facebook group where I've connected with loads of people who are working and caring for someone with Parkinson's. So those different situations, but connect with others in a way that works for you. You don't have to be really out there and go to Zoom calls and things. You may just get involved in a little chat, or you may actually go and meet up for coffee. But that's where you'll learn stuff. Also in your journey, make sure you have someone to listen. This might be a professional, so a counsellor, a coach, or a volunteer, such as a befriending or listening support service. And there may be other services local to you as well. Or it may just be a really good friend or family member. Early on in my caring journey, you can probably tell already, I'm a bit of a talker. That's how I process stuff. My husband is the opposite. So when he was first diagnosed, the walls went up. He didn't want to talk to anyone about it. And I kind of had to respect his privacy around that and his dignity and do things at a pace to suit him. But after a while, I found it really hard. I found I really needed to talk to someone about the frustrating things in life. So we both agreed, actually, a particular person, a particular friend, one each, that we would go to and would be able to share more openly and not feel like we were going behind each other's backs and things. So that's what worked for us. Different people find different things. In terms of finding someone to talk to and connecting with others, you've probably also got a local carer support group as well. These local organisations, there may be people near to you too. They may have access to counselling and other services too, and through your own sort of wellbeing support at work. there may be different routes there as well. So find that little route to access sooner rather than later. Don't wait until things have really got a lot. Make sure you're in the regular habit of talking to someone. And things like self-care, I say explore what looking after yourself looks like for you. Carers in our community often say we're not just caring for one person, we're caring for at least two. There's ourselves and the person we care for, and sometimes other people too. And working out when people say to you, oh, do take care of yourself, it can sound a bit trite and it can be difficult to sort of understand what that looks like. It can be really practical things. Making sure you have your doctor's appointments and checkups, dentist, optician, all of those standard things. It could be making sure that you're planning for having breaks. So if you're taking on caring for someone, it sometimes might build up gradually and think, oh, this is okay. And you think, well, hang on, how am I going to have a holiday? How am I going to have a day out? And working out what those things look like. In the world of social media and Instagram and things, self-care can sometimes look like it's about sitting back with cucumbers on your eyes or having a spa day. And actually, it tends to be a lot more practical and day-to-day stuff than that. But by all means, if you like a spa day and you can get one, go for it too. And then the final thing about setting ourselves up to thrive is holding on to you. You're an entire person and you have a caring role, but that's not the only thing that you are. You may have a job and a career. You may be planning a fantastic retirement. You may want to travel. You may have hobbies. You may want to work on your education. You have other relationships that are important too. So it's really important to hold on to who you are and to do that very intentionally. Carers often find themselves and they'll say that they've kind of become a bit invisible and disappeared. And we really have to work hard at that to make sure that life doesn't become just about caring. So holding on to you, a really important part of caring there. Now, I also thought we'd do something right now, right here, as a bit of a takeaway and a tool. And this is something that you can just access. You know, you may just kind of do it from time to time. And it's creating your own personal wellbeing toolkits. If you've got a piece of paper handy, and you'll get the recordings that you can watch afterwards, but just scribble down those headings. And the activity is, next to each of those headings, to try and think of something that helps you with your personal wellbeing. And you can choose other headings, you can ignore some of those headings if you like. So do have a go as I chat away, see if you can fill out some of those things. So I'll start at the top. What's something that you can eat that helps you with your personal well-being? Now, it can be different for all of us. We might think of a lovely big healthy salad or something really nutritious and nourishing. You may be thinking of a treat or a snack that really is something special for you, or a home-cooked meal. For me, it's my previous self was kind to me and did some batch cooking, and in the freezer, I know I can pop in the microwave a meal that's going to feed the family with all our dietary requirements and is kind of reasonably nutritionally balanced. So it's just a real quick go-to, and they're made how we like them. So that's great. But when life was really tough, this was my go-to to ask people, and they said, how can I help? I said, you couldn't make us a meal, could you? Something I can have in the freezer or bring around at tea time. And, you know, if you don't ask, you don't get. But I was really fortunate people know that that's how they can help me out. So something that you eat that helps you with your well-being. A drink for me, when I get stressed and tired, my throat goes really tense. I talk a lot in work and in social life. So that goes. I find hot water with fresh ginger in it and sometimes honey and lemon really helps my throat and just reminds me to calm down and rehydrate and things as well. So examples like that. So carry on working through that list. What else can I say about activity, quiet things? So an activity, it might be a walk, it might be exercise, it might be gardening, something you really do that's got some physical energy involved in it according to your abilities. And a quiet thing might be something like meditation, maybe something sort of a calmer relaxation session. Maybe it's listening to some quiet music. Maybe it's prayer, all sorts of things that may be your thing to sit and do quietly. Some people say spending time in nature or just listening to bird sound and things like that. Just that quiet, gentle thing. And the last two were added on by people in our community as we did this exercise together. They've suggested those topics. Knowing where you can go to for something that will make you laugh. It might be a YouTube video. It might be search on TikTok for pictures for videos of cats being scared by cucumbers, hilarious, or other things, your favorite comedian, whatever it may be, a fun podcast, just where you can find a bit of lightness to distract you. And it might be your favorite red lipstick, it might be an amazing outfit, a spangly tie, or your cozy slippers. So you can go any way you like with these things. Having this toolkit, just knowing what those things are, filling in the blanks that are a bit harder, gives you those things to do in the moment, just to sort of actually make yourself feel a bit better, cope with the stress of the day, cope with the overwhelm and demands of caring that can be there alongside living the rest of your life. So have your little well-being toolkit at the ready is our advice there. So that's a little exercise there for you. Just kind of accessible and free and easy is the idea there. And another thing, and quite often we always intend to go and find those great videos. There are some amazing resources around stress and relaxation and mindfulness. And I mean, just seeing what Georgie shared on the Carers UK site there is so much there, which is fantastic. And you know where to find it now. But the real art of it is to go and do it and practice it so that when you need it, you know those techniques for yourself. Sometimes you just need something in the moment when you're just not feeling okay. And we do this one kind of around overwhelm and things like that as well. And all you're going to do is ask yourself, what do you need right now? And to get yourself into that place of being ready to really connect with what you need, you just do some very simple grounding exercises. So we just do it together. We just breathe, okay? Just relax and notice your breathing. And then just connect with your chair. Just take that bit of time for yourself. Just notice your feet and your body in the chair, your feet on the floor. Just notice that connection. And just breathe. And the rest of the world just likes to just drift onto the background a bit. And if it helps, just put your hands on your chest and just ask yourself in your mind, what do I need right now? And just taking that small moment, nothing fancy, nothing expert about that, to connect with your needs and to connect with what you need right now. And when people do this, it can be something really simple like, gosh, I'm chilly, I'm cold, I need to pop a jumper on. I'm thirsty, when did I last have a drink of water? I'm getting a bit hungry. If I eat now, I'm not going to get ravenously hungry and make those wrong food choices. I'm feeling lonely, I haven't spoken to anyone today, I need to connect with someone. If you're working remotely from home, that can be a common thing, can't it? I need a hug. Yeah, just checking in with what you need and then attending to that need. Again, it's just a 2-3 minute thing, but reminds ourselves that our needs matter just as much as those we care for and just as much as those at work and all our other responsibilities. So there we go. Just another little way we can check in with ourselves and think about what we need and put our own priorities just up alongside other people's priorities as well. It's tough to be, none of us are going to turn into selfish people overnight, and we don't want to either. We're probably very selfless in the amount of care that we give, but caring for ourselves, just another short example, an example of how that can happen. So there we go. Okay. And as we begin to think about carers across our workplaces, so as Georgie says, so many people are working and caring, and that's growing. The statistics around that are growing. And as we can see, the changing populations, the changing dynamics in the country, we know that that's going to increase. You know, people are, used to having an income, or a dual income is necessary to run a household. Finances will be tricky. We've also learned how much we can enjoy work and how much that can be an important and fulfilling part of life as well. So many people will choose to continue working and need to. It's probably a balance of somewhere between all of that. So our workplaces, more and more, are going to be full of people who are caring, as more of us care and more of us carry on working. So whether you're caring at the moment or are thinking about colleagues who might be, or others around you who may be caring, how can we help to make the workplace more carer friendly? How can we support carers to thrive in the workplace? Now, it's amazing that the charity here has these resources. You know, they've connected up with Carers UK to have these resources available to you all of the time. And that speaks to be of an organisation that really gets it. So I imagine throughout your organisations and your workplaces, there are already policies, there's awareness being raised, there's webinars and events like this, which is just fantastic. That's a really awesome starting point. Having access to information and resources is super key. So we're just ticking off some really fantastic boxes there that is already available. So we need to remember to use it. We need to be reminded about it. That's why events like this are so important. Also having community and connection for people, whether it's signposting to community opportunities, creating those communities at work and within your teams. You know, sometimes if you work for a large organisation, it can feel like, oh, something might be happening over there, but does that impact me here? And actually, the more we connect together locally as well, in our teams, in our workplaces, in our sort of sub-organisations, that can make a huge difference too, just having those connections, somewhere to talk. And that might look like a regular carers group or forum, an online catch-up, coffee mornings, quarterly meetups, something like that. Having a carers champion, someone who really talks about caring and is willing to share their stories. Other people's stories are so powerful. Then that's really, really awesome. But the final missing part of what could be missing from that puzzle is that remembering that it's all of us, that carers are not like this niche separate group. It's really important that we don't think of them as, well, they're that group over there, bless them, they're having a tough time, we need to support them as much as possible. It's all of us. We could all be part of this at some point in our lives. So really tapping into that, walking in the shoes of people around us who are caring, encouraging people to share honestly about the difficulties they're having, how they're managing things alongside work. You know, there can be some days that are really tough. I'm super fortunate to work in an organisation. At Mobilise, everybody has a caring role. By our very nature, that's who we are. So we talk about caring 24/7, really. It's what we're on about all the time. So it's very easy for us to share our roles. But I've talked to people previously that have worked, and sometimes, and this can be, the organisation as a whole can be trying to do all it can, but actually at the local level, whether it's a line manager or colleagues, that's actually what makes the difference. It's a colleague willing to say, I get it, look, don't worry about that. Let me take care of that for you. Yes, I can cover that day when you've got a hospital appointment with your loved one. You know, this carers leave is a fantastic thing, and that's come down from government. There'll be policies in your organisation about whether it's paid or unpaid, but the delivery of it is actually down to your colleagues going, yeah, we'll cope with that, we'll look after that, and how we will manage that as a team. So there's a huge part for us all to play in just making it possible for those policies and that culture that the organisation intends to really live out within the organisation. And the way we build that is through empathy, is through connection, is through talking. And it can often start with one carer just being a bit vulnerable, being willing to be honest and saying something like, do you know what? I didn't do my best work today because I was worried about this. Just want to talk about it. I think that'll help me get on top of things. And it's those sorts of things that can unlock it. If we're struggling in silence, then it can be really tricky. So by talking about it, connecting over it, this is what will make all the difference. So I really hope that's going to sort of give you some food for thought, and where you can spot where, if you've got colleagues that are really doing this well, really lifting that up and showing how appreciative you are as well can really help that to grow within your organisation as well. It doesn't all come down from policies and bosses, etc. It's very much us in our workplaces are the people that make the difference, and in our communities and with our neighbours around us too. Massively passionate about it. I really hope you'll stay in touch. Use the resources from Carers UK. If you fancy having a look at Mobilise, we've got an app, so you can go to the App Store. You can download it. It's just called Mobilise on the App Store or on Google Play as well. It's free to sign up, and it's that power of connection with other carers. Events similar like this and wellbeing activities and things. There's a wealth of that with Carers UK as well. Exploring all of those helpful resources. So hopefully, just this growing number of resources helps us all as a society to realise that caring is really a big and growing thing. And there's lots of people out there that are passionate, like us, like your local carer support organisation, that really want to help and support carers as well. So let's tap into it. Let's be part of that. It's been fantastic to be here today. My contact details there. So there we go. Thank you. Welcome back, Georgie. How's all that been for you?
Thanks, Suzanne. That was really fantastic. And I would say that what I found to be what I'm reflecting on is actually the community side of caring, and how actually, even if you're totally overwhelmed, stressed, that might not change. But the fact that you can meet other people, that you can talk about your caring role, that you can ease the burden of commute. I always say, a problem shared is a problem halved. And I do think it's true. And, if you are caring and you're struggling to find that sense of community, it is out there. And I would encourage anyone to, look at Mobilise, look at Carers UK, click on the resources, because people are there, they're online, they're in community buildings. And yeah, I do think, connection and community is a key thing in sharing your caring role and feeling like there's, something else is there, someone else is there.
Absolutely. And it can even be a time of life to make new friends. Which
Exactly.
I think is a great opportunity. We don't often get to do that other than school and work. That tends to be it sometimes.
No.
So you might make some new friends. But we're really interested in hearing what questions people have and looking at the comments. We're going to go to that now.
Thanks so much.
Hi, Georgie and Suzanne. Thank you for a fantastic session today. As a carer for my mum, I found it really, really helpful. Thinking about the Carers digital resource, I think that's probably one of the most comprehensive resources I've used. And I think it's fantastic whether you're new to caring or have been caring for many years. And Suzanne, I really loved the wellbeing toolkit that you shared and breaking things down. And I think another thing that Sean talked about was the importance of connection and how valuable that peer support is. We've had a lot of questions and comments that have come through, and a lot of people talking about how fantastic the session was. If you don't mind, I will share some of those questions with you now. Starting with question 1. So this person says, I count myself very lucky as the person I care for is still currently working, but I've been told as they can work, I am no longer their carer. Is that true?
Oh, I'm happy to take that one. And that was my situation. My husband, Matt, carried on working after his diagnosis for a long time as my caring role grew. And I guess my first thing is thinking, when they say I'm not a carer, who's the they that's saying that? Is it an employer, or are we talking about a benefits application or something? Because it may be that different people have different definitions and different policies. But generally, it's if the person you care for couldn't manage without your care, then you are their carer. And that can be for, you may need to give someone a couple of hours of care a day or a few hours care over the weekend or something like that. And for me, in order for Matt to be able to attend work, I would get him up, feed him breakfast, get him dressed, make sure he was showered, and a colleague would support him at work to be able to continue working, which is really important to a lot of people to be able to do that. So I think it's just as someone can have a lifelong condition, an illness or disability and work, I think they may also still require support from someone as well, and they will be their carer.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Suzanne. Next question is, can you use the Jointly app and then share it with another family member who is in Australia?
So yeah, I'll take this one. Yes, you can. And actually a lot of our case studies and people that get in touch with us to speak and ask questions about Jointly, it is one of the main reasons is because they have found, and it's a great way of communicating with them and keeping them in the loop without having to have lots of phone calls. So yes, you just share the code and they will be able to download and join your circle. So it's just an email invite. So very easy to use.
Thank you. And it's great, isn't it, having that there, so you've got multiple people caring, that everything is kept in one place, and it's just a great tool for communicating.
Yeah, exactly.
Next question is, I'm having trouble getting my care responsibilities seriously, and my line manager dismisses my carer's passport. Any advice on what I can do to help with this?
I'm happy to comment on it. Georgie may have some other thoughts as well. And it's something we hear, that an organisation may have good intentions at a senior level and whether that trickles down. And it can be a matter of sort of training and education. And there's, lots of sharing those resources and supporting line managers to kind of make those steps and to understand can be helpful. But it may also be worth whether it's worth going through an HR business partner if it's that kind of organisation where you've got some support around this, or if you've got a carers forum or network within your organisation as well, they may be able to support you as well. If your employer's gone to the trouble of having such a great tool as a carer's passport, then it's about, the willingness will be there from the senior management to make that happen. And it may just be a question of education and informing someone and helping culturally sort of others in the team to take that on. And it sometimes takes time for that to trickle down, I think, particularly in a large organisation. So helping to be a champion as well by gently challenging that can be helping other carers too.
Yeah, I would agree with what Susanna said, gently challenging it. If you're getting into dead ends, always going back, speaking to HR, taking it as senior as you can. But also, I agree, speaking to your carers network, connecting with a community within your organisation will help you so much. Just the knowledge that another carer can give you on how to manage difficult managers, tricky situations can be so, so useful. So I would definitely connect with your carers network. And I know that the civil service have a fantastic network. It's a fantastic network organization, and I would connect with the leaders of that to really just talk about your issue, talk about how you're struggling with your manager, because they will be able to offer advice and support.
Thank you both. And the Civil Service Carers Network, as you said, is a fantastic place you're bound to be able to speak to others who've probably encountered similar challenges and how they've been able to overcome that. Next question. This person highlights that there's a lot of carer support that is during the day and that they work full time. Is there any that are available at weekends or evenings specifically?
Absolutely. That was my frustration and kind of partly why we founded Mobilise, really, to make support for carers really accessible. So Mobilise will have things in the evenings and on weekends. Carers UK have evening care for CUPPers and events as well. And a lot of things are recorded, whether a webinar or presentation. Obviously, if it's a peer support group, it won't be recorded, but you can also kind of access things after the fact as well if you've missed it. Sometimes there are lunchtime sessions, and even your local carer support organisation, it's worth getting back in touch with them, because there may not have been anything available a few years ago, but lots have been sort of changing and moving with what the people they're supporting require. So there may be more things available, but also that asynchronous connection with people online in forums and online communities and things as well is another way of doing it. And also just kind of creating that little bubble for yourself. So in our Partners of People with Parkinson's Facebook group, the working age group kind of got together and said, well, no, let's put a Zoom call together at a time that works for us and make that happen for ourselves as well, where we wanted that sort of condition specific connection. But we do also find that people are just exhausted after work, actually, and sometimes joining some of those things that are too long can be difficult. So finding fairly short things to join can be where you'll find more people joining and a bit more of a lively conversation too, rather than a 2.5 hour event or something, because we've only got limited amounts of energy too.
Yeah, I think the short things are more easier to attend, aren't they, when you are got another full-time job and you're trying to find capacity, and it can be more impactful as well. Next question. The person I care for has a progressive disease which will only get worse. I work flexible hours at the moment, but these will need to decrease over time. Any tips on how to negotiate around this?
Yes, so I would say my advice would be know your rights, know your policy within your workplace. Obviously, you've got flexible working currently, but that can also change. It is your right to go back to your manager and ask and request for changes to your flexible working pattern. But knowing your legal rights and the policy within the workplace just gives you as much knowledge as humanly possible. I'd also connect with your carers network to understand if anyone else in the organisation has done anything similar to you. You can learn from them as well. But I would just say knowledge is key going into those meetings. So really understanding your legal rights, your workplace rights, and your policy will give you as much knowledge as humanly possible.
So true. And I'd add a little bit of financial planning on that as well. If you're going to see maybe your income will decrease, what's that going to look like? And whether there are other flexibility options, working at different hours, compressed hours and things that might help rather than reducing hours. And a lot of people are really keen to continue working for financial reasons and for others. So it's also, we can sometimes think we're the only answer to the problem, and there may be other solutions. So maybe it's worth paying for a bit of extra help, getting some extra care, bringing things in. For me, it was about my decision about actually being able to move from part-time to full-time was about, well, actually, if I got a cleaner and had a bit of help at home, that would be more possible. So not always seeing ourselves as the only answer to the problem, that there may be other things we can sort of move in. There may be daycare available and other things that make it possible to continue working it full-time or longer hours if you want to, but also thinking about your career progression as well. It's very easy to think, oh, I can't progress because I'm going to need to work part-time. If you could make that progression and have a more substantial role, that might be another way of increasing your income whilst reducing your hours as well. So try and keep those options open and just talking to people about what those might be.
Thank you both. And the Carers Digital Resource is a great place to know more and to learn more about your rights regarding employment and things as well, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. There's a whole section on working and skills. So we've got a lot of information that will just be able to give someone, you know, an understanding of their general legal rights within the UK. And then obviously for the organisation, it might differ, but the standards should be applied.
Thanks, Georgie. Next question. I get pushback saying, can't anyone else step in? It makes me feel like I can't ask for time when I need it for care responsibilities. Any confidence boosters for me to feel better doing this and pushing back?
That's it's interesting, isn't it, when there's that kind of pushback, or are they being helpful in their questioning? Who knows what the intention behind that kind of question is? But now that you know that's what people might say, preparing what you're going to say with the answer to that question already. I have thought about this. You know, these are the options that we've looked at, and maybe also sharing when you have done that and other people have been the solution as well, that people sort of see that bigger picture, that you are sort of being as creative and flexible around it as you can. But also just, it's okay. That one word answer of no is also okay too. You don't always have to justify yourself and explain yourself. And sometimes that's practicing that no can be where the confidence comes from too. It takes a bit of practice sometimes, and I think, again, chatting to others in your carer network will help as well, just practicing those conversations.
And I suppose that's where a carer's passport might be particularly helpful as well, in having your care and responsibilities documented. Okay, next question. Is there any support for when you have lost the person that you have cared for and finding it hard to navigate and adjust back to normal life after being a carer for so long?
Yeah, so I think that's a really interesting question. And actually, someone did mention this to me on a session the other day. What type of support do you have on the DRC in particular that is looking at helping someone adjust back into kind of normal life? I would say on our resource, there's information about how to get back into work and how to kind of use the skills that you've developed through caring and looking at them in a way that you can kind of transfer them to employment. But there will be supportive networks out in the community and your local carer centre that will be able to give you more of that emotional support, because it is incredibly challenging kind of adjusting to normal life.
Yeah, it is. It's a real important part and stage of the caring journey for many. And at Mobilise, we have a bit of a sort of, we say a thing that we find ourselves saying a lot is there's no roadmap for this. There's no right or wrong to how you should be going through things practically or in terms of grieving. Your journey will be very different and unique, and your grief will be very different too. And it's it's kind of recognizing that that's what's going on, recognizing that it's complex. There are some lovely resources at Mobilise that the people who've gone through this have helped us to create, really have sort of said, this is what I would have needed at the time. So some of it is about the practicalities, what to do in those very first days, through to kind of what happens over the next few weeks, few months, few years, and quite often staying in touch. That's why it's so great to have a community, staying in touch with that community who've gone through that journey with you, and sharing that journey together, finding others on a similar journey can be really helpful too. So at Mobilise, we kind of let people decide when it's time to go and leave and end their journey. But the journey of having support as a carer doesn't end when the person you care for dies. And I think most carer support organisations and charities across the UK would kind of agree with that, really, that they really see that as an important part of the caring journey. So even if you didn't reach out for help when you were caring, there's still help available during that stage as well, and people who will really understand and get it, which is so important.
And like you said, that journey is unique for everyone. Do you have any advice on how to negotiate with care agencies?
Oh, negotiate. Now, I wonder whether I don't think they're talking about the financial negotiations here. I think it's about how to make it work with your household, what you need, what the person you care for needs. So it's really important to be involved right from the very beginning in the care plan and make sure that reflects you as well, and you as part of that caring situation, or even whether you're in the household or not. And building those really good relationships can take a little bit of time as well. So if at the very first day it doesn't feel comfortable, allowing a bit of time for those relationships to work as well, keeping good and positive communication. If there's an agency, keeping good communication with them about what's working. Quite often those organisations will have an app as well, and you can log in and see notes and add notes, and there can be real transparency around that as well. So it might be a question of finding the right agency that communicates in the right way. And for some people, it means moving on and finding a different agency that does things how you would like to. So a little bit of research beforehand can help sometimes, but also just being prepared to work through some of those trickier conversations and being able to, again, building up confidence to be able to advocate for what you want as well as what the person you're caring for wants as well. So it does take some good communication and a bit of confidence sometimes, and a bit of time, and that two-way bit of listening and working through things together. Carers in our community, it's a topic of conversation constantly. So lots of advice from the Mobilise gang about navigating through this.
Thank you. You mentioned about seeing if you can bring in extra resources to help, cleaning, for example. But is there any help available for this sort of thing if people can't afford to do it privately by themselves?
I think I'd start with, absolutely see what benefits are available. So if you're caring for an older person, attendance allowance; for someone under retirement age, it may be PIP or DLA, but just making sure you've got the right benefits in place. And those basic benefits I've mentioned, and there are different ones in Scotland as well, are not means tested. So they're about the condition and the support that the person needs. So that's what we've been able to do for my mother-in-law, for example, to get her some extra help. Then that gives you a little bit of money coming in, and you can choose what you do with that. No one's going to sort of tell you, where have you done this, what have you spent the money on, etc. You get the choice. The person who's receiving the care gets the choice on where that's spent. So that's the first thing to look at. Your local council, if you're on a low income and have low savings, your local council may be able to help provide that care, and you need to may need to make a contribution towards some of it. And in some places, there may be local charities that provide a small amount of, whether it's a respite service, a sitting service, cleaning, handyman services. Do check out what's available locally, things like Age UK and your carers charities and caring support charities. There may be things available locally as well. And there may be other benevolent funds that you can tap into, and grants and things like that. So worth looking around for a little bit of that, definitely.
Yes, and if I can recommend, if you have access to the digital resource for carers, and go onto the site under support for caring, there is the upfront guide to caring. It is basically a benefits entitlement tool, which will ask you a series of questions, and then emailed through to you is all the potential options that are available to you, as well as our benefits calculator. So it's really about understanding what from the local authority, as well as your carers assessment, can offer you financially. And that's kind of step one. And then, like Suzanne said, step two is going out and seeing what potentially is available within your local community.
Really great points. Thank you both. I think we've got time for one final question. Is there any recognition for people who work but have care agencies going in while they are there? I have been told that I am not my mum's carer and cannot be seen as such when I am taking her out for appointments for shopping, days out, etc., because she has carers going in.
Honestly, not sure how to answer that one. I think that's quite ridiculous. You are still caring for your mother. So, you know, it's tricky. Is there any recognition for those who work and support? There is. And, you know, I'm sorry that you're in a situation where you're told that you're not actually caring for her because she has agency carers. So I think it's about going back into those meetings and being confident with your role and what you do to support your mother or your parent.
That does sound like someone who's so far in their life never had to actually experience what being a carer is like. A loved one is like. So wouldn't well, I'm sure in the future life that will start to change. And sometimes that is quite a sort of a classic recognition. And even carers don't identify as a carer because they're going, well, I've got carers coming in to do that. And you're like, yes, but who organised that? Who applied, made the application? Who checks on them? Who follows up? Who does all the bits and pieces when they're not there? Who would they call if you weren't there? Those carers aren't taking people to hospital appointments. So sometimes that's where, as carers, if we are able to be a little bit vulnerable and share our situations, and where you can have carers champions in the organisation, that can really help to start to change those mindsets, really, and help people to understand a little bit better that, you know, the person you care for may work, the person you care for may have care from other people, and that doesn't mean that you're not a carer, and, you know, you may not be entitled to carers allowance, for example, but you are still caring. And that you still are a carer. So yeah, we need a lot less barriers to what makes a carer, I think, these days, and recognition that most of us probably have a caring role somewhere at some point.
Absolutely. Thank you both for a fantastic session. Just before we finish, there's a few comments that have come in, lots of thank yous and saying how helpful people found the session. Also, it's the 60th birthday for Carers UK.
Yeah, so, big year. Big birthday, yeah. Lots of celebrations, but also importantly recognising carers.
Yeah, and people saying as well that, linking back to some of the themes that came in, that when you stop being a carer, you don't actually stop caring. You that part of your life remains. It's a huge part, and that journey continues as well.
Love that, absolutely. Yeah.
So thank you both for a fantastic session.
Pleasure. Wonderful to
really
be
much
here.
Appreciated.
Great. I've loved all the questions. Really great Q&A.